sincerely be. I am your host, Blanca. Happy Monday. I hope you guys had a beautiful weekend. Hope you guys are able to relax a little bit, enjoy your time with your loved ones, and hope you just took advantage of your weekend overall. But it's Monday, so let's get our week started with some intentional goals. I think moving forward, I want to start our episode with setting intentional goals for the week. And what I mean by intentional goals, first off, is setting realistic goals for yourself for the week. I know we all have our long-term goals where these major goals we have to work on every single day to reach that major goal, but these goals are a little bit more different. These are more for our weekly goals. And these goals are really just to get us through the week, something to look forward to, something that if we are feeling a little blah throughout the week, we can look back at these little goals that we have and it keeps us going through the week. Now, I just want to put it out there that sometimes our goals aren't always going to be met for the week, but that's okay. Don't be hard on yourself. Give yourself some grace and really know that sometimes we're not always going to complete these goals, and that is completely fine. You can always roll over these goals for the next week and try again. But intentional goals, I feel like, are a little easier to meet throughout the week because they're not like these huge goals that we're setting for ourselves. They're little goals that we want to at least give it a try. And that's really what intentional goals are, trying out something that we really want to accomplish for the week. I encourage you to set at least 2, maybe 3 goals. I would leave it at 2. If you are not really like the goal setting type, I would start off with 1 goal and then maybe increase it by 2 or 3 throughout the week. But I really like to just jot down my goals for the week and give myself something to look forward to. Now, by intentional goals, I mean giving yourself goals that really dive a little deeper than just setting like a broad goal. For example, if you tell yourself, oh, I want to eat healthier this week, maybe go in a little deeper on what you truly mean by eating healthier. Does it look like meal prepping for the week? Does it mean maybe cutting back on some things that you know you shouldn't be eating for the week? Like maybe, oh, this week I'm not gonna drink soda, or this week I'm gonna probably cut back on my sugar intake. Something a little bit more intentional, because if you set yourself a pretty broad goal, you won't really look and focus on one main thing. And sometimes that can get a little overwhelming as well. Or maybe it might look like you want to work out this week. Set yourself those realistic goals if you haven't worked out since the beginning of the year. So maybe you can try to work out 2 to 3 days this week. And it doesn't have to be anything intense. It can be some cardio. It can be going on a walk. It can be doing something physical with your body. But really dive deep into what that looks like. So instead of just saying something broad overall, we narrow it down a little deeper into what that goal looks like for you this week. And also set yourself realistic goals. So if you know that this week is going to look really busy for you and you really want to work out, maybe your workouts aren't going to be an hour long. Maybe it can be 20 to 30 minutes. Maybe it can even be 15 minutes. So set yourself those little goals. Again, give yourself grace. If you do not meet these goals this week, that is completely fine. We're all trying this together, and if we don't complete one of those goals, let's try it for next week. My goal for this week is to pick up and reread this book called Atomic Habits. It's such a good book, 10 out of 10. I read it over the summer, and honestly, when I read it, I kind of just read through it, but I didn't really read it with intentionality. So I want to reread it. I feel like right now I'm like in a funk of trying to find new habits and getting back on routine. But I know that this week does look a little busy for me. So realistically, I will probably read 2 to 3 chapters this week. I do have a second goal for this week, and that is putting my phone away before bed. I want to honestly put it across the room so I don't have it next to me on my nightstand and I'm able to just reach over it and just scroll. I'm just so tired of going to sleep and the last thing I do is like scroll on TikTok. I want to pick up the book, I want to read it, and I just want to end my night off without being on my screen. I have gotten so bad at this, and I don't know why I started like getting into that habit of being on my phone. The last thing I do before I go to bed is be on my phone, and I don't want to do that. It's so annoying. I have noticed that I wake up feeling more tired because that's like my eyes. I don't know. There's something behind it. I've read about it and it's just actually not good for you. So I want to let that go and I want to just start reading again and feel a lot better for the next morning and feel like recharged for the next morning. So I hope your week goes well, and I hope you are able to reach at least 1 out of 2 goals this week. So on today's episode, we will be talking about a topic that I feel like isn't talked about enough, yet majority of us have felt or are currently feeling this way. And that is the feeling like you're behind in life. Have you ever wondered to yourself why certain good things happen to other people and you're just seeing everyone kind of like accomplish their goals and you're just sitting there like waiting for your turn to happen? Have you ever asked the question of like, why does it seem like everything good is happening to everyone else except for me? Your friends are getting married. Your friends are having babies. Your friends just bought a house. Your friends just got engaged. Your friends are moving to different cities. Your friends are finding the love of your life. And you're over here like, I don't really know what I'm doing with my life right now. And then we start getting into this mindset of comparing ourselves to everybody else that's around us. And we start looking at everything that they're accomplishing and their successes. And we start putting ourselves down and we start getting into this negative mindset of like, oh my gosh, I'm not doing enough. I am a failure at this. I have no idea what I'm doing with my life. And then we start thinking to ourselves like, dang, I'm really not where I thought I was going to be by this age. And we start getting frustrated with ourselves and we're just like, what am I doing wrong? Like when is my time gonna come? I felt like this not too long ago, actually. And truthfully, it was one of the hardest seasons that I had gone through. I felt like this when I was in my college career phase. It was my freshman year of college. All my friends went out to live their college experience in cities and other states, and we're really getting that full college experience. And I had to stay in my hometown and do my 2 years in my community college because honestly, it was the smartest thing to do financially. And there's nothing wrong with that. I honestly am very, very thankful that that's the way that I started because it helped me and my family tremendously making this decision to stay in my hometown for the first 2 years before I moved on to a 4-year university. But it was low-key a little sad too because all my friends left. A lot of them were living life as well. It looked like they were all living life. And I always wanted to have that college experience. I always wanted to go out. I wanted to meet new friends. I wanted to see just a different perspective than the town that I had been raised in. And my college experience was very, very different than a lot of my friends. And it's hard not to compare because you hear all like these really fun things that they're doing in college, they're mingling, they're going out. You see them like going to like everywhere for some reason. I don't know how they're able to afford it, but they're literally traveling like during spring break, and they're just like doing so many fun things. And they're also being able to network with their teachers, meeting people, and finding a new community. And in my case, I had to work full time and go to school full time and do an internship full time. So really my plate was pretty full, and I felt like I wasn't really able to meet new people or new friends, because if it wasn't one thing that I was doing, I was having to do another thing. And I knew this was the case for a lot of folks that decided to stay in the community college, and because they had to, work, but they wanted to further their education, which again, there's nothing wrong with it. But it's really hard not to compare when you are seeing all your friends being out and about, having like the best time of your life. In the beginning, it was honestly really easy. It was fun. I was able to go and attend these classes in person, and I was able to meet other people, but it was kind of like the same people that you already knew about that lived in your hometown. There's of course like those people that come from different states to attend like the community college and everything, and you get to mingle with them, and it was honestly really fun in the beginning. And then when I transferred to the 4-year university to begin my undergrad program, I had to do it all online because I couldn't financially be able to move out to the city where the college was at. So the only way that I was able to do my classes were online. So my college experience was even more off than I thought. I felt very isolated. I felt like I wasn't really meeting anyone. I wasn't really able to network with anyone. And I wasn't able to get involved with the school that I was attending online because it was far from where I lived. But I always had trust in God that this is what He wanted me to do. He wanted me to further my education, and it wasn't the way that I thought it was going to happen, but it was happening. And the hardest thing about it was that I was still working full time. I was doing full-time online classes, and I was also doing a full-time internship. So it was a lot, and it was a little overwhelming at some time. And I was starting to really feel like I was taking on too much. And I would really pray to God. I'm like, God, did I hear you right the first time when you told me that you wanted me to further my education? I feel like I'm just doing this just to do it. And in the beginning, I was really, really passionate about the career path that I was taking and the field that really God chose me to go into. And I was on fire, I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited because the Lord told me that He was going to use me to do this, this, and this, and this. And I was just super, super excited about what the future held for me because God had revealed to me all these amazing things that I was going to be doing. And after the second year of my undergrad program, financially, it was a struggle paying for full-time. I had to go part-time. And I knew going part-time was going to make this process so much longer, and I was dreading going part-time. But I knew that it was the only way that I wasn't going to feel financially, that I knew I wasn't going to feel like I was in a financial chokehold. I kept praying to God. I was like, Lord, I'm just so confused. I don't know if this is what you want me to do anymore. I feel like I am stumbling over all these roadblocks, and did I hear you right the first time? Is this really what you wanted me to do? And I really started to question God about what He had put on my path, because when I knew what God wanted me to do. And when he revealed to me all of these things that he was going to do with me and how he was going to move through me, and, just like revealing to me the way that he was going to use me in this field, I had so much trust in him. And mind you, this was the time when my relationship with God was like, I was so deep in faith. I was so deep in faith to the point like I would attend Bible studies throughout the week. I would volunteer in my church. I was just so involved, and I was just so on fire for God, and I was just trusting everything that he was doing in my life. He was like my number one. I would turn to him for any questions, and I would be like, Lord, is this okay? Like, are we doing this right? Like, am I like I would just want to hear his affirmations every single day. And he was my homie, like it was just like that, to the point where just like I needed to sit down in silence and always listen to him to make sure that I was on the right path of what he wanted me to do. And during this season, my faith got tested so much, until I got to the point where I was honestly starting to doubt, and I was starting to question what God had revealed to me during this time. And it was the third year of my undergrad where I felt like literally I was doing school forever. And I literally just like broke down one time, and I was like, Lord, like I think I just misunderstood you. I think it was all in my head that you wanted me to continue to further my education, that you wanted me to start this undergrad program, and this is the field that you wanted me. Like, I think it was just all in my head. And I just started to doubt myself so much and just question every single thing, that so many things God had confirmed along the way, and I just started questioning and doubting everything, until he told me, he was like, I thought I was your number one. You have turned to me for everything. Why are you doubting on me now? You trusted me not that long ago because I revealed to you all these amazing things that I was going to do for you. But now that you are stumbling and going through roadblocks, now you're going to question what I have revealed to you? I thought I was your number one. Why are you doubting now? Why do you think I can't bring you out of where you are now? And I was humbled real quick, let me tell you. I was like, you're right. You're right. This is honestly when the enemy really tries to attack you, though. When you are feeling not worthy enough, or you start doubting, that is when you give a glimpse of where the door is open for the enemy to come. And any little doubt that you have, the enemy will come and try to attack there and try to bring doubt, question on what God has already spoken over you. And I was like, I know the Lord has revealed to me these things. I am not going to question him. I am not going to doubt him. I know that he has confirmed this over me. And I don't want to doubt you, Lord. I don't. So help me, guide me, teach me how I can trust you again. And then comparison started coming over me. And I started seeing my friends graduate on the fourth year of undergrad, and started seeing that they were starting their careers, started seeing that they were moving out to different cities, starting to see that they were starting to travel because they were all done with school. And here I was starting my fifth year of undergrad. And I was like, oh, Lord, please give me the strength. I don't want to compare. I know you have a plan for me, but you're making it a little hard when you're literally putting these people like right in front of my face. And I know it wasn't him. I know that it wasn't God, like, putting these like friends in front of my face, like being like, haha, like these are people already graduated and you're still in school. Like, I know it was me seeking it. I know that it was me like looking for an excuse to make myself feel bad and throw myself a little pity party that I was over here still having to do another year of school. So I want to say that it was the end of my fifth year of my undergrad where I prayed to God, honestly, for a whole year, where I was like, Lord, I don't want to do online anymore. I want to go out to the city where the school is, and I want to attend in person, and I want to network. I want to be able to gain experience. I want to be able to see just a different perspective of, from where I grew up. Like, I just need something different. I need a different scenery in my life. So I spent a whole year working and doing online, and then I decided to move out to the city, and everything, honestly, all glory to God, went so smooth. I had been going out there to the city for a few months looking for housing. Housing was so easy to find. I was able to find a job that was super flexible with my school schedule, and I was able to find an internship that was so fun. And I finally moved out there, and I was in the flow of things. I found such an amazing community of girls that we would go to church together. We would go to Bible studies. I found such an amazing church. I found so many amazing friends. And I was just in the flow of things, so excited. I was like, yes, this is what I had been praying for. This is it. I'm living life. And then COVID happened. Everything gets shut down. My classes go back online, and I have to move back home. So I had only been out in the city for about a year until I had to move back home. But honestly, I had felt at peace making the decision to move back home, because I was out there. And this is a whole other episode that I want to talk about when I was out in the city, because a year felt like forever. There was just a lot that happened within that year. And it was honestly, there was just a lot. So before I start a whole different story, honestly, I had a sense of peace when I decided to move back home. And the reason why I decided to move back home was because, first, we didn't know how long it was going to be, the whole shutdown and whatnot, and I was out there by myself. And the city that I lived in wasn't too far from my hometown, and so I didn't fully move back yet, but I had spent a few weeks back home, and I was just talking to my family. I was dating Robert at the time, and I was just talking to him, and they were all super supportive. They're like, if you want to stay out there, we'll support you. If you want to move back, we'll support you. Whatever you want to do, we will support you. So I really just prayed to God about it, and I was like, Lord, I know that you want me to move back home, because just before this ties into a different story too, but I knew that the Lord wanted me to work in my hometown, and he had revealed this to me a while back ago. But I was like, Lord, that was a little fast. I felt like I wanted to have a little more time to be able to, be out there and do something different. But if you need me to move back home now, I'm trusting you, you make the move. I'm just here. So I really just prayed to him about it, and I felt at peace. I felt at peace with the decision that I should move back home, because all my classes had gone back online. The job that I had been working on got shut down, so I wasn't working, and I was literally just in my apartment, just isolated with nobody. I was just FaceTiming my family and my boyfriend at the time, and I literally just I felt so lonely from everyone, and my whole family was just over here, and I was out there. So it just didn't make sense. So when they had confirmed that my classes weren't going to go back in person, that's when pretty much I just got the confirmation of okay, I'm just going to move back home. Deep down, como que it wanted to come to my heart that I was sad and disappointed and whatnot, because I had seen all my friends just being able to stay out there, being able to stay in whatever city they were in and everything, because they were already well established wherever they were. And here I am moving back home, and it was low-key a little disappointing, because I think it was all in my head, to be honest, that it's sad to say, but like that people would be like, oh, like no lo pudo hacer, you know, like she couldn't stay out there. And I think it just like there was like a shame behind it of like, oh, what a failure, like she couldn't make it out in the city. First of all, let me just say, I knew I never wanted to stay out in the city. The city is not for me. Like, it's really fun. There's a lot of fun things to do and everything, but I've never been a city girl. I've always been a mountain town girl. And the cool thing of where I live is that I don't live too far away from the city. So whenever like I just need a change of scenery, I'm like always able to just drive out there. But to live there, it was a cool experience, but I'm just not a city girl. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not. But there was just like, I think it was like that. It was more of like wanting to prove people wrong, that it's like, oh, like, si la puedo hacer. I just wanted to stay out there to like just prove people wrong. But I'm just like, that's so dumb. Like, who am I trying to prove it to? You know, like, no one cares. And the funny thing is, the town that I live in, like, everyone always ends up moving back. Wherever they go, they end up moving back to the hometown. And they call it like a curse or something. And I'm just like, no, like I don't want to have the curse or whatever. Like, I did want to stay out there longer, but at the same time, I was trusting God, and I knew that He had the plan all in place, and I didn't want to question it anymore, because let me tell you, the first time I questioned it, I got humbled real quick. Honestly, I won't lie, there was a moment of question where I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Like, I started to really lose that passion that I had in the beginning of wanting to go to school. Like, I was just over it. I was so over it. I wanted to finish. Doing online again sucked. It was just not fun for me. Like, I think because I did it for so long, I was just over it, you know? Like, I would just like do like the essays with no motive behind it, and I didn't want to finish my undergrad like that. Like, I just felt like I had no passion for it anymore. So I started working at a hotel when I moved back home, and I was doing my classes online, and I was really close to being done. I had about 2 more semesters to go, and I started getting a little discouraged, because this was also the time that, you know, like, you scroll and you see everyone just like enjoying life and like traveling, starting their career and everything, and you're just over here like, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so annoyed. Like, let's be honest, like, who doesn't get annoyed when you're seeing other people live what you have been dreaming of doing? And I just got to the point that I was just like, oh my gosh, like, I just need to finish already. Like, this is so annoying. But this was also the time where I started a really amazing relationship with my now fiance. I had met a lot of people, actually, like, new people in my hometown that I never had met before, and I just like was just grinding it out, to be honest. Like, I think there was actually a point where I went to church and I just like gave it all to God. I was like, Lord, like, I know that my faith is being tested, and I just want to understand why you're doing all of this. I want to understand why it's taking me so long to finish this program. I want to understand why you had put something in my heart and now I don't even feel passion for it anymore. I don't want to distance myself from you, but it's really hard when like everything that you had spoken over me is just not coming true. And mind you, overall, I did about 7 years of undergrad, because I did my first 2 years in my community college, my first 2 years in my community college. Then I transferred, and then my third year is when I went part-time, and so it extended it a lot longer. And I was just like, I know we've been through this already. I know we've had this conversation and you shut me up real quick, but I just need to understand why. But that's the thing. Why do we have to understand why certain things are happening? Why can't we just trust the plan that God has for us? why can't we just give it to him and trust that he is already carving out the path for us? And I'm just like, oh, Lord, like, I just want to give it all to you. I want to give it all to you, and I want to stop questioning you. And this had happened multiple times along this long journey of my undergrad, and this long journey of comparison, and this long journey of telling myself that I wasn't smart enough, I wasn't qualified enough, I didn't have enough experience, like I was dumb, and like I would just fill myself up with so many negative comments towards myself. And honestly, it started to become like a self-esteem issue. Like I was lacking a lot of confidence within myself because I put a lot of doubt in my capability of like that I wasn't finishing school. So all my confidence was coming through that. And because I wasn't succeeding at that, in my mind, I couldn't accomplish anything else. So there was just so many like contradictions going in my life, and it was just such a hard time. It was such a challenging time in my life, and I just felt like I was stuck. But I didn't want to doubt in God. I didn't want to lose that trust in him, and I just kept praying and praying and praying that he knew what he was doing. I just didn't want to question that. I didn't want to question that he already had a plan for me, and I just kept trusting. I kept trusting. Even in moments of doubts, like he would always assure me that he knew what he was doing. He would assure me that my plan was already set, and all I had to do was continue to trust him. And I did. I really did. Through the moments of questioning and doubt in my heart, I always trusted him. It was my mind trying to play with me, telling myself that I didn't trust God, or that that whatever he told me wasn't true, or whatever. And it was just like this battle of spirit and flesh, and it was just like a constant spirit warfare that I was going through. But I just kept praying. I kept praying, and I was like, Lord, I give it all to you. Like, remove these thoughts. You have a plan for me, and I'm just going to keep trusting. And sure enough, the Lord, I feel like, is always so proud of us when like we give him that trust, and he just like shows us like this, like the smallest things of like gratitude towards us. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just like he has so much pride in us that like when we trust him, he gives it all to us. So it was the last few months of my undergrad, and I remember that I started to apply to jobs, and I knew that I wasn't going to really get a job because the field that I'm in, a lot of the organizations or the jobs that I was trying to apply to, you need like a higher education than your undergrad. Like they want you to have a master's or have your license in a clinical sense, or, you know, like just have like your state license. And I was like, well, that's not going to happen. Like, I barely have my undergrad on this. But I had applied to a job, and I was going through the interview process while I was finishing my undergrad. And I hit the second round of interviews. And then the following day, my supervisor calls me, and she was like, we want to offer you the job. And I was like, like, that's so cool. Like, mind you, the only experience that I really have is my internship experience, but I've never had like a big girl job like this. And I was like, oh my God, like that's so exciting. Like I was so excited. It was like what I really wanted to do. It was working with the population that I had been doing my internships with, which I love working with this population. And I was just like, yay, you know, and I was like, well, like I'm graduating. I was actually going to graduate that following weekend. So I told them, and they're like, cool, like, can you start the following week? And I was like, yes. So I started that job, and that was so exciting. I felt so grateful for that opportunity. Then when that happens, Robert and I become home buyers in that same year. And the process of buying a home was so easy for us. Like, honestly, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, I always tell all my friends, I'm like, I don't even know how I did it. Like, to be honest, like, I don't know how I'm a home buyer. Like, I don't even know like what equity was at the time. Like, it was just so funny to me. But the process was so smooth. Our realtor was so amazing. Our lender was so amazing. Like, there were just like those people that were placed in our life at that perfect time to like guide us and help us and mentor us through all of that. And it was just such an easy process of it. And I just like look back and I just like reflect on everything. And I feel like the Lord's over there like, this is just the start of it. This is just the start. And I don't want to say that like because all these amazing things like happened and whatnot, like God wasn't working through me, through the times where I felt like he wasn't, through the times that I felt like I was abandoned by him, through the times that I questioned him and everything. But sometimes we get so focused on other things that we forget the miracles that the Lord is already working in our life through that really hard season in our life. And I honestly like didn't want to just give glory to him when all of these amazing things were happening in my life, because I knew that like through it all I was just trusting him. I was just trusting him and I was praying to him and I just wanted him to guide me through it all. But I feel like at the end of all of this, he's just over there like, this is just the beginning, And I'm just like, oh, God, you are so good. You are so good to me. Even when I fail you, even when I doubt you, even when I question you, you are so good to me. And I'm just like, I don't deserve it, But it's just like such an amazing thing to look back at, where like I just went through this whole season and the Lord always shows up. He always shows up in whatever way. Like he's just always there. And I feel like we just always have to give that trust to him and be able to glorify him and be grateful through every little season that we're going through, whether it's the good and the bad. And really God just showed me a glimpse of it, because I knew through this whole process and the moment of doubts and questions where I knew that I didn't want to doubt him, because I had already seen miracles that he had done in my life. I knew how good God was because of so many amazing things that he had done in my life prior, where like places that he had taken me out of, removing people out of my life that I knew was hard for me to remove myself from. I had seen changes that he had done within my family. And like through it all, that's why I kept turning back. And I'm like, God, I just want to continue to trust you, because I have already seen all these amazing things that you have done. Why would I question you now? Why would I question you at this point in my life when you have taken me out of the storm? I know you can take me out of this one as well, because there's nothing impossible to God. It might be impossible for us, but it's never impossible for him. So I want to end off with 4 tips that I learned during that season of my life. And I wish I would have known during that time, but I reflect back and I got these tips, and I hope someone out there can use them, or, somehow it can guide them. Number 1, don't get pressured by others' expectations of where you should be in life. At a certain point in our life, people start questioning of like, ¿y por qué no estás casada? ¿Y por qué no tienes hijos? ¿Y por qué? Like people are always just like, why aren't you doing this yet? Like, why aren't you, And then you're just like, damn, mind your business. I'm getting there. Damn. But honestly, we're on no one's schedule. And the timeline that we have for us is not the same timeline that God has for us. We have certain expectations of where we should be at certain ages. Like by the age of 25, I should have my career. By the age of 26, I should find the love of my life. By the age of 27, I should be married. 28, have kids. 29, be traveling, and we start like, we just have this like timeline of like where we should be. But I promise you, you are exactly where you're supposed to be at this point in your life. So if people come up to you and they're just like, ¿y por qué? You're just like, girl, take care of yourself. You're just like, girl, God has it in control. No te preocupes. I'll get there. Number 2, avoid comparing yourself to others. I know this is easier said than done. Because when we're stuck in this little negative mindset and we are seeing other people accomplish the dreams that we wish we were doing, how can we not compare? How can we not question? How can we not doubt? But at the end of the day, your time is coming. Your journey is yours and no one else's. And maybe God is keeping you in that waiting season because he's molding you into that version that he wants you to become. Maybe you haven't met the love of your life yet and you haven't gotten that ring yet because God is healing you through past traumas that you're not able to let go of, and he wants you to be fully healed before you get into another relationship. Maybe you're asking God, when is it going to be my turn? When am I going to be able to start my career? When am I going to finish school? When am I going to get into this school? Perhaps God is telling you, I am bringing certain people into your life to guide you, to prepare you. But we don't look at that sometimes. Sometimes we just look at all the negative stuff and forget about certain people that come into our life to guide us, to prepare us, to give us a word. But because we're not there yet, we question it. But just remember that God is molding you into the version that you are dreaming of becoming. It's not in our time. It's in his time. It's his plan. And we just have to continue to trust. And that's the last tip. Trust God's timing. It's always going to be perfect. Whether we believe it or not, his timing is always perfect. Life is a journey, not a destination. Enjoy every single minute of it. Enjoy every season that you're in. You look back and you're just like, wow, like I didn't catch that at that time, but now I understand. I understand that when I was doing school online, I was meeting so many amazing people. I was gaining these skills of being able to communicate with others. I was able to gain the skills and get confidence out of that, because there was a point where my confidence and self-esteem was so low, and God was molding me to prepare myself to be a confident person where I can speak to others. I used to be super shy. I could not talk to others. I would not be able to do this a few years ago. I would have not been able to sit down in front of a camera and put myself out there because I was so scared of what people would think of me. But now my confidence is so beyond of what I could have imagined, and all thanks to all the experiences that I had gone through in that season that brought me to where I am today. I might have moved back home at an earlier time than I expected, but I probably wouldn't be engaged at this time. I probably wouldn't have been able to buy a home with the love of my life. I wouldn't have found such an amazing career that I am so passionate about. Because sometimes we are so stuck in our own ways, and God is just trying to remind us, I have something better for you. And he's telling us, this is just the beginning. Put your trust in him, and he will show you the unexpected. Thank you all so much for listening. I really hope this reached somebody. I hope your week goes well, and don't forget to set those intentional goals. Can't wait to chat with you all on our next episode. Sincerely, B.